Just waiting for the Oh, don't you dare.
Just don't forget to hit record.
Yeah, something's on with the recorder. Give me 1 second, boys. I'm glad I
Remember when he
noticed.
told you guys like, "Oh, this has never happened before"? Yeah, he
That big ass shirt he's got caught on something.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, you know it. Give me 1 second. I don't
This
know
never
why.
happens to me.
Let me just pop in a new
Oh, we're
card.
live too, right? Trev's bloopers.
Yeah, this is normal. This is typical to my life. Hold on 1 second. I just don't want to miss out on the podcast.
Yeah.
1 second. I'm getting a right error for some reason. I don't know why.
I'm starting to get a turkey waddle myself.
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Yeah.
Oh, this is nice. Not being able to hear Trev talk. This is awesome. I am the captain now.
There you go. You got the stick now.
Trev, this is the best I ever heard you. You sound amazing. Are you muted?
Yep.
This is awesome.
Man, this is the
There you go.
worst thing.
There you
You
go.
got me? You got
We've been
me?
able to hear you for like the last 3 minutes. We were just acting like we couldn't hear you.
Yeah, write down what you just did, Trev.
All right, I got it. We're back up in action, boys. All right, let's hit that
We
record button.
never have any technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on.
Never said that. I said we didn't have technical difficulties with Restream, but I can't say we didn't have technical difficulties with everything else. Oh, you there?
Yep.
Oh, we're still here. You guys got me? All right, good to go. All right, guys, we are back in live. A little bit of technical difficulties, but that is what it is. We are on with the boys from Team Enticer. How we doing, guys?
Good.
Pretty good.
We appreciate you jumping on with us. I know it's the heart of turkey calling making season, so I know it's you can take this time with us. We really appreciate it. We really do, honestly. So let's get right into it, man. Let's turn the wheels. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you guys do?
You go first.
All right. I'm Al Holbert, and I own Team Enticer. Was a contractor most of my life. My father started Enticer turkey calls in 1979, and he's up in his 80s now. I took the wheel in 2018. Started building in 2018 and did my first show 2019, and it's been real good business ever since. We sell a lot of calls all over the country, and things are going real well.
How about you, Riley?
I'm Riley Welch. I work for Al, work for Team Enticer. I also run my own channel, Riley Welch Outdoors, and just anything hunting and fishing. I'm just crazy about it, especially turkeys, man.
That's awesome. Let's take it back a little bit, Al. I want to kind of dig into what in Team Enticer is, and what was the name change reason?
Team Enticer. I mean, basically, I specialize in friction calls. I'm a friction call maniac, and what happened is my dad started a company in '79, and he called it Enticer Turkey Calls. So when I decided I was going to move into the business, like I said in 2018, Dad's still in the business. He's in his 80s and he still makes calls for some private labels and what have you. So he's not 100% out of the business. So what I did is I just called myself Team Enticer, because when Dad is done with his end of the business, why then I'll become full blown Enticer turkey calls. And
Mm.
but at this point, so I mean, I don't even know if I'll change to Enticer turkey calls because the Team Enticer name's getting out real well now. So just not to confuse the public.
Where did it all
And
like? How did he get into the business of turkey call making?
well, see, he was a machinist, and it's a weird thing that happened is he started dabbling in making turkey calls back when I mean, you didn't see a lot of friction calls around the country, so he started dabbling in it. And I got to tell you, I have a lot of these original calls right here, and if you took a look at them, you'd gag like hell because they're not the nicest looking thing in the world. But I will tell you, he always had a knack for really getting the sound down pat. And and when he retired from Pennzoil. And the first year that he retired, they ripped his insurance out from under him. So that's, of course, he had to do something to pay for mom and his insurance. And his love for turkey hunting exploded then. And he started he did his first show in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I go to Harrisburg every year. And it's just grown ever since. And it does get confusing for some people. They end up on, because I've come out with a lot of new calls since I've gone into the business. And it gets confusing. Sometimes people will click on Enticer instead of Team Enticer. Then the call they're looking for isn't there. So I mean, we got some obstacles in our way too, but it is what it is. I'm not a computer guru like this guy. I have trouble dialing my cell phone. You know what I mean? So I don't look into doing all the fancy stuff. But I mean, I'm sure I should, but we'll let you guys handle that end of
Well, don't let us handle it. You saw what happens with technology. We end up like yeah,
it.
we
Yeah.
just know how to kill things. We're not very good at it, but we like to tell people about it. That's all. It's we're not even good at that. So, oh,
But I mean, just like when I first started doing the shows, I mean, I was booking shows everywhere I could book one. And it's funny because like next year I'm doing one show, and that's going to be Harrisburg, that 9-day show down there. Because the internet business has exploded. Um, and I sell so many here at the shop, people calling all the while. I've been mailing calls steady since February, every day running to the post office. And I do have two private labels out there now. I make calls for other companies, and and I just put their logos in them and keep my name out of it. I don't care how I make my money, because everything I do, the money I make from Team Enticers is to buy fishing equipment, hunting equipment, just playing around, and give mama a couple bucks now and then.
you're a smart man, so you can go hunting and fishing and not have to get
And
flack. Right? That's how you.
that bingo, table 7 right there.
There's nothing wrong with that. And so what kind of goes into making the calls from start to finish? Because you do it a little bit different with the coriander and that kind of stuff, and it's a little bit different than a lot of the stuff that is on the market. And to be honest with you, it's one of those calls that um is very hard to match in sound.
Yep. And well, Corian is a real bugger to work with. And when Dad ventured into the Corian world, it was really hard to tune, and it was noted to give you a high pitched squeal, basically. But
Mm.
now we got the sound chambers down now where if I run 1,000 of them, I can guarantee myself I'm going to have 1,000 good calls at the end. I don't use CNC machines. I make everything basically by hand. And the key thing is a man making them by hand rather than just running them with a CNC machine. Every call that I turn I mic it all the way around to make sure my depths are even. And that way, you notice, because you have one of my calls, you can play that call anywhere on the surface. You do not have to look for a sweet spot. And therefore, being like somebody that's new getting into turkey hunting, I like to pride myself knowing that I have the easiest playing call on the market.
Mhm.
Another thing is once I went to Team Enticer, Dad, don't get me wrong, Dad makes some beautiful calls, but I wanted to jump into the wet world. I wanted everything that I make to play wet. And I mean, at these shows, I'll literally fill the call full of water and I'll play right through the standing water. And it's really cool when all them wallets start coming out of the back pockets, you know. but but that's why I'm there. But and the warranty we put on our calls, I mean, I don't want anyone to buy a call and you know, a week down the road they drop that call and break the playing surface. If that ever happens to a guy, you mail it back to me. I'll put a new surface in it, mail her back to your house at no cost. I'd rather do that than a guy spend $65 on a call and then not have a call, you know. So we've always done that. Dad did that for years. Um, but the key thing is, I mean, like since I come out with the wet calls, I mean, we make beautiful wood calls and they're awesome sounding calls. But um, on an average in a year's time, I'll sell 5 wood calls to 2,500 wet calls. I just can't move wood calls no more. Everybody wants my wet stuff, but that's a good feeling too. But I got an awful lot of wood calls, you know. But but yeah, I mean the key thing is, and all my calls are, I blast all my surfaces. So the hunter, when he buys a call from me, I can guarantee you that call's ready to play right out of the package. You're ready to hunt with it right that minute. I mean, you don't have to go home look for a sweet spot. You don't have to go home rough it up. It's ready to rip. And that's why we do as well as we do, because we sell a lot of calls, a lot of calls.
I think it's kind of important because I think that there's so many different calls out there in the market, and somebody does spend $65 to $85 for a call and then gets it home. Like me, like all four of us here can play it like a trumpet, but then the guys get it home and they got three hands trying to get this thing to go, and but we're so used to it. But the newer turkey hunter, what does he hunt 4 or 5 times a year? You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
So for them to be able to pick up a call and run that thing like a professional, I think it keeps them, motivated to want to use that call and be out there and hunt. And that's, that the one scary thing is kind of out of it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
it's very intimidating, to be honest.
right, right. You know, and that's the thing. Like when guys come to the shows, you know, you feel bad for a guy that's just getting into the sport. And here you got all the big wigs standing around my booth drumming on calls. I mean, guys like that, I'll take to the back corner of my booth and say, you know, don't pay attention to them people out front. You know, everybody started at one time. So we really take our time with the customers, make sure they can play the call. And because the key thing is we're looking for repeat customers and we have a lot of them, you know. And that's why we got to come out with something new every year. And sometimes that makes you pull your hair out. But it's been a real experience jumping into this business. I have a lot to you know thank my father for, because he was a machinist. I was a dumb contractor, you know. So I I can build it, but I couldn't tune it. You know what I mean? But he taught me a lot, and now, you know, I'm on my own, and the coming up with new different sound chambers every day, new calls. I mean, it's quite an experience. And anyone thinks, you know, I get a lot of guys that say, I'm going to try to build calls. Well, good luck to you, because you'll see them all the time. Call makers come on the market, and they're fancy with the computer where I'm not. And they make me even want to buy one of their calls, you know, because the way they strum or their video and stuff. But, you know, the next year they're usually gone and on to making skateboards or something, you know. But the key thing is, you know, when a man is looking for a call, look for the warranty. Look how long they've been in business, and the key thing is easy play. And that's why I have so many youth hunters that buy my calls, is because, You know, I designed one just for a youth. I made it a smaller base so their smaller hands can hold it. And we sell a boatload of them, you know. But it's great to see the young bucks getting into the sport, you know.
I think it's quite why we all do it, right? I mean, to
Yep.
get into it in the next generation to build it on. If we didn't have that, then we wouldn't have people listening to podcasts or buying turkey calls. We'd be
Right
all
on.
done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that would be the way that it goes.
Yeah.
Riley, how did you get tied up with Team Enticer, and what do you do for them, and kind of what kind of goes on? I know that you spend 9 days in the booth strumming on a turkey call and making yourself look like a hero, but what else do you do with them guys?
Yeah, I got linked up with Al back in, I think it was like 2018, because it was the year before we went to Harrisburg. And it was just kind of off the whim, just random. People ask me all the time how I met him, and I actually couldn't tell you the true story. Just one day we started hanging out with him, and he invited me to Harrisburg one year. I went down there with him, really liked it, and I think I sold a total of like 3 mouth calls maybe. And he was like, "Hey, start coming to the shows." But I mean, he's taught me a ton about bird hunting. It's just an unbelievable amount of knowledge that I've learned, and it's cool to meet new people and stuff through the shows and through stuff like what you guys are doing.
It is one of the good things, right? To get to know new friends and build relationships, and some of your best friends come from the outdoor world. You know, like it's just we're all like-minded people, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Um, and the shows are overwhelming though, because like you don't know who you're talking to. Sometimes you got to be kind of careful. Sometimes you
Yeah,
got to tongue because some guys are real good and some guys aren't so good. So you got to be kind of careful. That's one of the things about shows. You go into it kind of like, oh, all right, let's see what his stories are. You know, like you gotta kind of take it back just a tad bit. You know, so
yeah, feel the waters a little bit.
yeah, you kind of have to when you're down there. So as far as like, so you say that your dad still has the business Enticer Turkey Calls.
Yep. He's still in business. I mean, he still sells online. Uh, he's got a couple private labels um, that he still builds calls for. Now he's 80, I think he's 84 now. So he's more in now, you know, he still dabbles with it, takes care of the people that been buying from him for years and years and years, you know. And but he does a lot of walleye fishing now, him and mother. And you know, of course, you gotta slow down sometime. I mean, because in this sport right here, you live in this damn shop. And I mean, you know, there ain't too many dinners you get with the wife. And you know, because at the end of the day, if you got something, you know, that's got to be done, this got to be dried, that's got to be your thing, you got to get them done to keep the ball rolling, you know. And that's one reason that I'm not going to do all the shows I was doing. I mean, you take like Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, we sell piles of call in Columbus. That's an 8-hour trip. Okay. I just turned 61 2 days ago, and it's an 8-hour trip. Takes me 2 days to get there because I drive 4 hours and like, man, gonna need a hotel, you know. And I mean, I would love to think that Riley, that was my dream to have him take over the business when I'm done. But I mean, of course, everybody's got their own little flight they're gonna do, you know. But he's always got that for a backup. But I'll tell you, just going to these shows and meeting the people we do is what makes this all worth it. I'll tell you, we meet some awesome, awesome people, and I got friends the rest of my life, you know, and you know, I mean, it's nice too because Riley's got his what the hell's that called?
YouTube?
That YouTube stuff, and I'm at my booth, and this kid walked by, and he goes, "Dad, he's a tuber." I didn't know what the hell a tuber was. He comes back and he says, "Can I get my picture with you?" So I told the kid, "Well, get right in the booth, get your picture." Here I owned the damn company. The kid didn't even want to talk to me. And finally he did after like 10 pictures. He goes, "Well, you can get in one if you want to." Oh, gee, thanks, bud.
Asking you to hold the camera for him.
Yeah, but it's really awesome. Riley and I is going to do some hunting this year together. because he's going to be going off to school here eventually, and get some good videos before he leaves. Him and I got a whim last year. We each shot a bird first morning. Well, we jumped in the truck and drove all the way to Maine, and we got up there. That was like 12 hours where we hunted, and there was 3 foot of snow, so that didn't work out good. But we managed to get one bird while we was up there, and then we headed her back home. But the people I meet at this is what makes it worth it. I absolutely love meeting all the people we've met.
It's what makes it kind of what makes it go on. You know what I'm saying? Like the money doesn't mean nothing. The friendships that last
Yeah.
forever. Important thing. Like that's one of the greatest things about the outdoors. To be honest with you, because like you weed out all the crap friends. You get all the ones and you just hand select them. You know.
Yep. And the nice thing is, I mean, at these shows, you'll get a lot of call makers that, I mean, I'm not knocking anybody and I won't do that, but for whatever reason, they think they're up here instead of at anyone else's level. And them guys I weed out quick. But I'll tell you what, I would say 90% of your call makers at these shows are straight ace good guys. They're all good guys. We're all out there doing the same thing. And, I mean, there's enough people in the world that everybody can sell calls and have a good life, But
You said earlier you go back and you look at some of the early calls that your father made,
yeah,
and they're kind of rough and crude looking. Do you think that he spent more time worrying about the sound quality and the soundboard and all that, and less about the fit and finish? As long as you can make an ugly call, if it sounds good, it's going to kill some birds, as opposed to a beautiful looking call that sounds like shit.
yeah, right. And then you hit it 100%. He dedicated his whole career of sound chambers, and just like I'll tell people at the show now, if a guy wants a pretty black walnut that shines like a maniac, you can comb your hair in it. Yeah, I'll make you one. But to walk to my booth and buy something like that, they're not going to be there. We pride ourselves in building calls that'll take anything you can throw at them. And I mean, literally, you can beat the living hell out of these calls and you're not going to hurt them. And like I tell guys, if you're a one call guy, you buy a call with our warranty, you break the playing surface, we'll fix it for free. That call's going to last you the rest of your life. The only way it won't is if you lose it. And if you lose it, come back with $65 and I'll give you a brand new one.
That's
But no, that's the key thing. And we say things like that at the booth. I mean, it's just great to have, we got to have laughter in these two guys' lives. We're not sticking the muds, and you don't see us walk around the show with fancy garb on. I don't have spurs around my neck. I'm a down to earth guy, and it is what it is. That stuff don't impress me, but some people it does, so they can do what they want to do. We just get through every day as best we can.
Well, I think the important thing too to that is like you make something that works for everybody, right? Like it's a killing machine, and that's that's the most when it comes down to it. You can look as shiny as you want, you can drive a Ferrari, but can you call a turkey is the most important thing. You know what I'm saying? Like when is he hanging on a limb, or you just watching him walk by because you had fancy shit? I mean, to me, you know what I'm saying? I want them dead. Like I want something that works, and it works for me. If you're a carpenter, you understand, or if I bought the most fanciest hammer on the world, but it missed every single nail that you hammered at, then it didn't really matter. It don't make no sense to have it, right? It's like wiping before you poop. It just doesn't make no sense, right? I mean, it's just the way that it goes.
Well, and I mean, it's like all these calls that we make, and I've literally said to people before, they'll play the calls and they look around because you got call collectors. Okay. Why they collect calls is beyond me, but that's their business. And I tell them, if you're looking for a pretty showcase call, you're at the wrong booth. But if you want a call that's going to last you as long as you own it and kill birds, then you're at the right booth. And I mean, that's like in 2020. I came out with that new wet striker, and I had to change all the sound chambers inside my calls to accommodate that striker so it would sound the same wet as it did when I was working the bird on a dry call. And that, like you said here a minute ago, did my dad pay attention to sound or looks? And that's just what I did with that wet striker. I had to change all the sound chambers, and so it would sound identical. So I wasn't changing tones on that bird, and even my kill rate has gone up because of that. And but yeah, like that striker, I figured that out by accident. Dad always had an aluminum tip. I found some carbon where I won't tell you where I found it, but because I tried every carbon on the market, and trust me, it didn't work until I finally stumbled into this, and I was like, holy cow. So the first year, I put one in every one of my calls, and I had 400 loose ones when I went to Harrisburg, and I sold all 400 of them the first day of the strikers. And then of course, I mean, I always sell a lot of calls there, but them strikers really took off, and they won't work on every call because I've set my sound chambers up to accommodate that striker, because guys will buy strikers and say, will this work on my call? Buddy, I'm not going to tell you it won't, but in my mind, I'm thinking, I know it works on these ones,
There's a lot of guys out there that collect strikers too. They got
Oh,
like
yeah. Yep.
strikers.
But I will tell you, if anybody's looking for something pretty, don't even get on my website. We don't do pretty.
Well, what it kind of reminds me of is like you got hunters and you got killers, right? And like you said, you got guys that buy turkey calls to kill shit, and then you got collectors, and it's just like guns, right? There's gun collectors out there.
Right.
And then there's guys like us. We don't want no walnut stock, shiny gloss shit because we're dragging it through the brush and dropping it in the creek, and it's getting battle worn. You know what I mean? And like that's the difference between you want something pretty or you want something gritty.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead. Please come on with it.
A turkey call is a tool. Like you got to look at it as a tool. Is it an effective tool, even though it's ugly? Yes. Or you could have a very pretty tool that doesn't work as good. Which one do you want in your bag?
Yeah.
Holy that's shit. Like you have been listening.
Yeah, that's how you have to look at
it. To be fair, we're not saying your calls are ugly.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
We're just saying that you put high priority in sound quality and all that over trying to make the prettiest thing on the market and overlooking sound.
Yeah, I mean, there was a guy at the WNTF this year. I mean, I don't go to that, but he made an all aluminum call. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, it was gorgeous. All I did is ask the guy, hey, could you send me a sound file of that? I'd like to hear it. Well, this is for the Arctic or artist division. And I go, okay, enough said, I'm not an artsy guy.
All show, no go.
Yep. There you go. But and back to young Riley here. The way he ended up with me was his grandmother drove me friggin' nuts. Will you take this kid? Will you take this kid? When he come on board, he was 11. Little fat chubby kid with buck teeth and braces. Oh yeah. Yep. Now look how handsome the old boy is.
I'll tell you what, Riley, you look like a tuber.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
You got the look, bro. I mean, you got that bow-minded flat bill. You got the waves there, bro. Like you look like something.
I can't believe you just went there. I don't even know why we let him wear that hat on this podcast. Isn't Jake? Isn't he from our podcast? No.
Yeah, Joe, they're big buddies now.
Yeah, us too. I spent
took
too much
his hat and tried to bend his bill for him, and I thought he was going to pass out. I said, we don't wear hats like that.
All you need now, Riley, is you got to grow out that Jake mustache, and you'll be all set.
All right, I gotta beat him with the stash.
Al, listen to me real quick. I'm gonna give you some sound advice. Keep Riley away from Jake because the women will be anywhere that he goes. All right, so just keep him away.
I already got that problem with this guy. He's a woman magnet. This guy.
I'm telling you, it's that hair, bro.
I always tell him, hey, when you go out cruising the chicks at the show, see if they got a grandma. But no, and that's the thing. We enjoy what we do, and I was always a firm believer. If I'm not having fun, I ain't doing it no more. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, it's been a real thrilled to have him with me this whole time that I was growing the business, and he's got some great things coming up that I won't disclose, but there's a lot going to go on in this young man's life here shortly, and it's going to be awesome for me to be a part of what he's got going.
That's
Riley, do
awesome.
you want to disclose anything?
Not quite yet. We're gonna ride a little bit longer.
We'll have to
You,
have him back on
you
to
let
talk.
you let us know when you're ready to talk about it.
Sounds good.
Uh, I
Yeah.
do want to I want to talk a little bit about the calls for a second and what made you go into the coriander world as far as that as a body to the pot call, because that is not really something that gets used, or it is kind of. And I think one of the special things to the coriander is that it can be played as a playing surface, right? So not only is the surface of the glass or slate or whatever you have as the top, but you can also play the back of it. So like what made you go that route, and how did you figure it all out as you were working with that material?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I got stacks of garbage around this shop. I mean, because you get more errors than you do something that works. I mean, corium, it was just one of them things laying around. Well, let's give that a try. Let's make a pot out of that.
Can I interrupt real quick? Is
Yeah.
this the same material they use to make countertops?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's what it is. And I mean, I drive all over. I keep an eye on Facebook Rummy Sale or whatever. Every time somebody tears a countertop out, I try to buy it. And every now and then I'll stumble. I drove all the way to Maryland last year and bought half a truckload. I was fortunate enough. And now you'll get colors in there that you can't have in the turkey world. I mean, you don't want any blues, reds, whites in your calls. Um, and just like this is a new call this year. It's a thin call, but I'm doing this as a private label for a guy. But the thing is, this type of decking here is very, very porous. Now, when I made that, it because I like a slammer call. I like a call that rolls over. This is more of a op, like a barking dog would sound. And it's what the guy wanted, and he's been successful with it. I haven't hunted with it yet. But long story short, when I'm running around the country, if I see anything laying that I've never used before, I'll take it home and turn the pot and see if it works. Now, like I said, more are garbage than actually work. But it's all trial and error. And but the problem is I'm getting so large and then doing all these shows. I don't have time to be here in the shop. I got 3 calls I've been working on for 3 years, and I ain't completed one yet because I'm making calls because you got to keep them stocked. And so yeah, that's why we're going to cut back on the shows, and so I got more time in the shop basically.
What you need is you need O'Reilly over there just making videos on YouTube for you. It'll make up for the shows, and then you can be in the shop working.
There you go.
See, what do you think I've been telling them for 5 years? I don't know. If you asked him to do something, he'd do it tomorrow. It takes him forever to do something for me.
Yeah.
Calls, and the boy can sell calls. Trust me,
So
he can sell calls.
when it comes down to the water calls, what
Yeah.
what makes them special over other calls? Like, there's other wet ones out there, right? I mean, like, but it's
Yeah.
just that it plays in that same sound, or what is it?
Well, see, that's the thing, because and if you get on when guys are selling calls like on the computer, Facebook or whatever, I always sit and listen to their calls play. Now there's some out on the market that I know they got about the same sound chamber I'm using, but when they try to play a wet striker, because they haven't put it this way, I've had it since 2020. And they ain't figured it out yet. It's right there, but they ain't figured it out yet. And to patent something, you might as well wipe your butt with a patent because, guys like me ain't got money to fight something like that. But anyway, and the key thing is going inside the call and changing your sound chambers, because their calls will sound great dry, but when they play it wet, they're getting high pitch or too deep of a sound. It's
Mhm.
not a matching sound, and that's why we play with our sound chambers so much to get them even right out where they sound the same wet and dry, and
So I don't want to tear too much into it, but is it just you have something inside of your call that makes it play special? So inside of your sound chamber, the gap. And you can tell me right to screw right off
well,
and find where else
see,
to go.
and that's something you can't really share. I
Right,
mean,
of course.
there's things I do, there's things other men do to their calls to make their call unique to them, basically.
Okay.
And there are things you really can't let out.
No,
Um,
of course, and that one of those things is that a lot of this stuff people keep near and dear to their heart, and I respect it 110% because that's how they make a living, right? And then if you was to give it out, then you've held it into captivity for so long that you don't need to be able to um you don't have to get a patent on it. You've already made your money on it, and you just keep
yep.
on. Because ain't nobody gonna catch you. Like you're already above the curve.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like my dad come out with some things that would absolutely mean nothing to another call maker of things that we do inside our calls, but without doing them, the calls are going to fail. And it's just little things we do that, I know a lot of guys don't do because
Mhm.
I'm friends with a lot of them, and I don't share things with them. They don't share things with me, and that's the way we got to keep it, really. But yeah, there's just so many little things anymore that I'll do inside a call that it'll even impress me. And it's like, wow, why didn't I think of that earlier? I mean, and that's the cool thing about this business.
It's a
See,
treasure, right? It's just playing with different things and moving different things around and different thicknesses of glasses and
yep,
whatnot. Get those sounds to where you want them and what
yep,
you is right because those secrets they don't people don't unveil those secrets. Those secrets
right,
are strictly right to you. Like if you're trying to make your own turkey call, you're not going to learn. Like you're not going to learn by
yeah,
somebody telling you how to do it. You can buy something from one of the distributors and put it together, but you're not going to be able to make it from scratch. It's just not going to
right.
happen.
See, I had a guy this morning send me a message, and he wanted to buy Corian pots off me, and yeah, I mean, I'll cut him out a pot, but I'm not going to put my sound chamber in it. So, and
Mm,
that'd be like handing him a block of gold and hope he holds on it till you see him again. But
mm,
yeah, so I mean, you just can't do things like that. I mean, because now all I did is make another competitor. You know what I mean?
right.
And but yeah, the key thing is, and like I say, I ventured into private labels now, which is nice. People say, how could you make somebody else's call and not have nobody know you made it? It don't matter to me. It's because when I walk into any show, any building, I know where my calls, the ones I've made. And I do shows right now with two other vendors close to me that I make their calls, and it don't hurt, you know. And that's a neat thing about it. And you'll hear people say, "Yep, I told you not to buy that call over there. You should have come here." Well, it's the same damn call you're holding, buddy, but I'm not going to tell you. You know what I mean? But
Do they
but no,
still
I'm not trying to say I try to pull the wool over anybody's eyes, but
now the private labels that you're doing for those guys? It's still Korean. It's
yep,
still bots.
yep,
It's literally the same thing. Just has their name on it, and that's that.
right, yep,
Yep.
yep.
Hmm.
And I don't let anyone have my wet striker. That's always in my
Oh.
stash. You know?
So they have to buy the wet. They can buy the pot from them, but the wet striker has to come from you.
Yep, yep. And I'm getting now where I don't want to sell the striker by itself for the simple reason, in my opinion, that can ruin that striker. If a guy's playing it on a call and it sounds like crap,
Mm.
that's reflecting on my striker. So I try to keep everything, in my stable. This is my striker, goes with my calls.
Now
Does
you
a
said. Oh, go ahead.
can you use a regular non-wet striker on the Corian when it's dry? So you only need a wet striker when it's wet out?
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And what you'll see on that wet striker, guys will try to play it dry. and its true sound comes when that call is wet. I don't like them, I can't tell anybody how to play their call, but when they're playing that on a dry surface, it don't come alive till that surface is wet. And they'll work on like aluminum. So many guys are afraid of aluminum, call makers included, because they're hard to tune. And we've got them figured out now. If I run 500 aluminum, I know 500 of them are all going to sound the same. And I can take that wet striker and fill that aluminum call right full of water, and it'll just hammer right through that water.
Now
And
that's a hard combination. Water
yep,
and like
yep.
that's in the
And
call
then
world.
now we all, aluminum, slate hates water, but a metal call absolutely will guarantee slip when it's wet, and up until we come out with that striker. But just like all our slate calls all play wet now too. And so, because slate was so good for so many years, but what guys didn't like about it, even the heat off your hands in the morning would condensate it, and then your striker would slip. And now we have a striker just for slate. And like I said, I had to play with the sound chambers again, but now all of our slates play wet too.
Hmm. There's nothing wrong with that. Uh, Especially in the wet world. I mean, turkey hunting in itself is wet. Like all the time. It just, even if it is the condensation, the moist, the dew, the whatever. I mean, you're just constantly in some sop and wetness of some sort, and that's one of the tricks for forever since the beginning of time was finding a call that would play while it was wet. I mean, they came out. Quaker Boy had some box calls and this, that, and the other thing, but to get a slate call to play in water, you haven't there other than yours and maybe a handful of other ones. There really is nothing that sounds right when it's wet.
Yep, exactly. And the key thing is, because I make mouth calls. I'm not a mouth call guy. I don't even use a mouth call. But the key thing is, like so many guys, you're starting a bird on a friction call. He's coming. All of a sudden, just a dew off the trees, a light rain, your call's slipping. Now you throw a mouth call in. Well, on a big bird, you change up tone on that big bird, he's not coming in. And that's why we work so hard to get our calls to sound the same, wet or dry. So we don't have to slip a mouth call in our mouth. You know what I mean? And it's like I said, sales, it's really paid off, but our own hunting, we're killing more birds by, not changing tone up on a bird.
Well, you see
And
that a lot, especially them tubers. Them tuber guys. They
yep,
they
yeah.
start to call in by yelping, and then they want to purr at them. Who the
Oh
fuck
yeah.
kills a bird by purring? Like what? Nobody purrs at a goddamn bird. What the hell? You know, I don't understand. It's like starting the bird off listening to country music, and then you finish with rap. Like what the hell are you doing
Yeah.
out there? He didn't like that. You know what I'm saying? Like going on.
Yep.
What are
And,
you
it,
doing?
and I'm one of them guys. If I put a mouth call in my mouth, I could chum from here to the mailbox. So that's a no go with this guy. But
He liked the sassy fat one, and you just try giving him the skinny girl to come into. I just don't understand why that was a good idea. It just whatever. It is what it is. And they're like, well, he held up at 85 yards. Yeah, that was right when you put your mouth call in and started purring at the goddamn thing.
right,
What'd you think was
right.
gonna happen?
And then I get a lot of guys that come to the booth, and they're all about their mouth calls, which is fine. Any hunt with what you want, what you're good with. But well, I don't like friction calls because there's too much movement. I said, what do you mean? And they'll always say, well, when they get in close, I don't want them to see me playing my call. I said, buddy, if they're that close and it's the truth, you shouldn't be calling anyway. That's time, he's committed. He's there. You don't need to talk to him. He'll find you. He knows what tree you're sitting by. But I don't know. I mean, we hear it all, and I'm sure some people think I'm a bullshitter too, but what's the difference?
I think one of the cool things that you guys do at your call that a lot of people don't is the rubber around the outside to be able to like pinch it and hold it. So then so if you have your legs together and crossed in like an Indian style and you pinch that. Now you can play one-handed, right? So you can play one-handed, hold the gun up, and then when he gets real close, just pull your other hand up and shoot the bird.
Yeah, and then I mean them bands, I started putting them on because I like to do fighting purrs. If I got a bird that's henned up and I can't do nothing with him, I'll throw the fighting purrs at him. And since I've been doing that, that band will hold that call between my knees so I can use 2 strikers to do the fighting purrs. And since I've been doing that, we're killing 30% more of them birds that you used to walk away from and say, I'll check back in a couple days, see if you drop these hens, you know. And I mean, that's a game changer. And I share all this with people, you know. It's not like I mean, I heard from Eddie Salter one day. Eddie come to my booth, wonderful guy. He says, you know, Al, he says, there's enough in this pie for everybody. And the guy's right. And Eddie Salter don't lie to people. I don't lie to people. I'll tell a fib now and then, but you know, if the guy's hunting, if he's hunting close to my territory, I'll tell a little fib. But not an outright lie. But the key thing is that we do share what works for us. We share with others, you know.
First of all, we're talking about turkey hunters. If you're a turkey hunter and you don't lie, you ain't a good turkey hunter.
Maybe I snitched a little bit.
The school goes, hey, you seen any birds lately? Nope.
Well, that or you tell them there's a shit pile of them next time over. Yeah. But I'll tell you, you take like that aluminum call that we make, the Silver Thunder in a Korean pot. Like around here a lot, there's woods I don't even go into the first week because there's so many people. But we'll take that aluminum call in and go after birds that's been hunted real heavy. And we have good success with that aluminum. I mean, it's a heavy rasp. And if you like to cut, you can cut like hell on that call. And I mean, that's what I do. I'll carry 3 different surfaces in my vest and that's it. And because I know I used to fill all my pockets and it was like you get out there and all you're doing is confusing yourself, you know. Get a good call, it sounds good, learn how to run it, and you're going to kill birds, you know.
You said you do your fighting purr with 1 pot call and 2 strikers at the same time?
Yep, and then them bands that Trev was talking about, I put that band to hold that call in between my knees. You want me to grab one?
I was just going to say, you don't happen to have 2 strikers handy, do you?
All right, talk to Wild Man. I'll get one.
Tuber.
Oh,
That's what I'm going to start calling that hairdo, the tuber do.
hey, I like it.
The tuber deal.
Dude, listen, I'm not making fun by any means, dude. If I could pull it off, I'd have it tomorrow, bro. I'm telling you that right now. I just missed that generation by like a little bit.
It would. I don't know, man. I'd do it. I'd do it. I'd do like that mullet. I'd do the whole like, you know, Morgan Wallen style thing, you know, be killing things and chasing tail. What's better than that? You know, it's just be like life. I mean, fantails. Yeah, fantails. Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you start your YouTube adventure?
I started it back in 2014, I think. I was young.
You need to get parental advisor just to get permission to start a YouTube back then, no?
Yeah.
I gave it to him.
Al didn't even know what YouTube was.
Shit, you need me to sign something, son? Get her over here.
Al thought he was signing up for Publishing Clearinghouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get a lot of goofy shit in the mail, I'll tell you. All right, I got her here. So this is the band that Trev was talking about. They're just I order these and I put them around every call. Now this is a Korean pot.
What's the name of that call? What do you call it?
This is the classic wet one.
Okay.
But yeah, all I'm doing is that band, see, will hold that call still in my hunting pants. And then I just roll the call away from me a little bit. Then you're going to use 2 strikers. You hold up high on the strikers. So you're going to tilt the strikers away from you a little bit. And actually what you're doing is a hard purr. So when this striker's end, or you're about the tail end of where you're going, you start this striker and you just go back and forth. Okay. See, and the reason you can do that on our calls is because no matter where you turn that call, it plays for you. And that's why you can do fighting purrs. See, no matter what, I'm not looking for a sweet spot. It'll play everywhere. Okay, class is over.
It, what a and that's a game changer. Like there is not a call on the market you could do that with.
Well, and like I say, I don't knock another call maker, and I never will. But when you go someplace and you buy a call, and it's a clear glass with a little square marked up on it for you to play on, and this is my opinion only. What the hell good's that? Because when I'm hunting, I want to be looking out here for what I'm hunting, not down here for a little square to play my call. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And that's the way when Dad first started, that's the way ours were. We didn't know any better, but now I precondition all the glass and you can play them anywhere. I can put any picture in there a person wants. Yeah, if you want it a little pretty, we can do her, but otherwise you get the name of the call and go hunting, but
I think that the first call that I have ever gotten was actually an Enticer, to be honest with you. I remember it because the aluminum tip on it was the
yep,
big. That was your dad's, right?
that was Dad's, and that was what we called the wet one, just the wet one. This is the classic wet one. We still make the wet one, and but now I put my striker with it, my new striker. But when you go to a show, I always got to have wet ones, but I would dare say most of the population owns one of them. And
Yeah,
because
I still have
when
that.
when Dad come out with that literally was the first wet call on the market. There was none, And but like I say, his aluminum striker got copied basically overnight, and that's the problem. But it's all right. What are you gonna do?
Often duplicated, never imitated, right?
Yep. Because the key thing is with any call, if you don't have your sound chamber right, you can put every striker in the world on, it ain't gonna sound, the same wet or dry. And that's the key thing. You can't change tones on a bird, not a big bird.
I got a question for you. Does anybody play your calls in the NWTF friction, like the actual call competitions?
Well, that's probably an area I shouldn't venture in.
Sorry.
I mean, it's nothing that you. There's a lot going behind the scenes that I don't want to be the guy to talk about. But how would I say it?
Yeah.
I don't want to say. Nah, I don't want to say it that way. But anyway, yeah, I just assume not talk about that.
Okay, that's fine. Not a problem.
You know what I mean?
I think I have a feeling what you're getting at.
Yeah. We can talk about it later. Not a problem. Yeah,
But
no,
yes, I do have some out there. Well, I can say this. I do have some in the contest, but Team Enticer and Enticer don't shovel a lot of greens out. And so take her from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
It's sad that it's that way. It's really sad that
it is. You know what? And that's the industry and what the industry has become. It's not for what it was and for what it's worth anymore. That's one of the biggest things. And if you don't shell out enough money, you're not going to get the recognition, right? And I think it's bullshit. And it's the whole thing in what you were saying with the pretty calls and all this and that. There's a difference between hunters and killers, right? I'd rather be a killer. I don't want to be a hunter. I'm a killer. I'm a full-blooded killer. I'm not the best turkey caller. I'm not the best deer caller, the elk caller. I'm not the best. But get damn right sure my walls are full of things. And it's not for money, right? Like you just do it because you love it and to kill and for the passion of it. You know what I'm saying? Like your time is going to come no matter what. Karma is always a good thing, right? Like people are going to get to know who you are the right way. Those people, do you really want your company to be known as the guy that sponsors a ton of people and gives a ton of money? Or do you want to be the guy that be like, dude, that call rips no matter what, it kills birds. That's what you want.
And that's exactly where we are now, because the true hunters use the hell out of our calls. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't have a lot of them sitting out there. I mean, when I put a picture in them, I guess they'll collect them, but that's not where I want to be in the business. I
I
want to be known for good calls.
I think in turkey hunting, right? Like there's two different worlds to turkey hunting, right? And like turkey hunting in itself, it's the old traditional way with trumpets and sound and like there's that love, that passion. It's a different breed. Turkey hunting is one of those things where like you get ate up in it and you're a turkey hunter, you're a turkey hunter. Like that's what it is. And then there's the other glorified aspect of it with like it's just cool to be a turkey hunter and I have this
Yeah.
cool call, really expensive gun and like I don't care about none of that. I do it for the right reason, just like y'all do it for the right reason. Like I don't want to be I don't know. You do it because the passion of it. You know what I'm saying? Your dad's been making calls for a long time, and to kill a bird with that call, that's a true blue thing that now you're passing to Riley. Like it's just a that's an amazing part of the turkey hunting woods. It's not for lover likes, man. I'm sorry, but them tubers, they're ruining the turkey woods. I'm sorry, Riley.
Yeah, they don't get prestige shit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
gotta be fancy.
You
That's
gotta
like if you guys could see my hunting camel. I bought all that fancy shit on the market, and the deer picked me out, the turkeys picked me out. I wear woodland camel. If the boys in Nam can use it, I can use it. And that's what I use is I'm a woodland camel guy, and I kill a lot of critters.
Riley, I'm sorry that you're the butt of our jokes tonight, being a tuber. I apologize right now, but it's all in good fun. We love you,
Oh,
man.
Oh
Like
yeah.
Mostly
truly,
jealousy, to be honest with you.
it's really just jealousy. We've been trying for 10
yeah.
years to make that cool, and we just haven't gotten there yet. We're still stuck on you on a podcast. We haven't made it
Just
to
gotta
video.
keep hammering.
But you guys wouldn't believe places we are. It could be in freaking Burger King and somebody wants his autograph. And it's so I'm like, you little bastard.
I,
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, he's just got the look. They might not even actually recognize who he is. They just see him. He's like, he's got to be somebody. I don't
He
know who
must be a tuber.
Yeah.
he's somebody.
hey, is that Hank Williams' son? Who is that guy?
So because at the show I told him, I said, man, do something with your hat. Holy shit, it's all flattened out. And you ought to cut these wings back. Look,
That's what
look. No, Jesus, you don't touch that stuff nowadays. Okay.
they call them the radio flyer wings.
Yeah.
I
Right.
ain't gonna know me as that.
Riley, when you started YouTube and doing the videos and stuff, was there like that moment that you're like, "Oh my god, this is just like the greatest thing in the world. Like I can't believe that I have this type of impact on other people."
Yeah, it started early. Like for a long time, I just hovered like at 200 subscribers. Like I just couldn't grow. I just couldn't do it. But it was because I was kind of doing a little bit of everything. Like I was trying to show people the fishing side of things, stuff like that, just random videos. And then I stumbled into hunting season. That first hunting season, my channel did really good. I was like, okay, this is what people want. And my main mission was just to show everybody that like all these hunting TV shows, that's the perfection right there. Like that's perfect. You watch a hunting show. I wanted to show the real side of it. Like you're gonna miss deer, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna spook stuff. And I figured that if somebody could learn from my mistake, then that's all I want. I want people to take away something from my videos. And I don't know, I've just always loved it.
I think it's totally true because the thing that comes best is we watch all of these people deer hunting or turkey hunting on these beautiful farms in Iowa, Illinois, wherever they are. They got matching camo. I can't say much. I now have matching camo, but when I was a kid growing up, it was Walmart pants and Dick's Sporting Goods top. Everything matched differently, like but shooting does and everybody.
When I was
That's
a
the
kid, I
whole
didn't even know what Dick's Sporting Goods was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Cow doors and whatever else, right? I mean, but no, we had mismatched camo and we were shooting does, and that was life. Like those are the people that we look up to. Like the chance of us shooting a 180 or a 170, it's a once in a lifetime thing for us being on the East Coast. Like that's a tough fetch, right? Like shooting a 120, dude, that's life. Like that, I like to hang out there. I'm comfortable there, and like for other people to see the failures. Is important because they think that they go out and shoot a 170 every time you go out hunting, and they don't understand that you got to shoot 3 does and miss $5 before you can actually put one on the wall. Like they need to know that. That's
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to bring the real side of it out. I want to show people that, it's not all that it's made up to be sometimes.
Mhm.
Sometimes it downright sucks. But you got to go. I mean, if you love it, just keep hammering at it.
Mhm. That's absolutely awesome. Well, let me ask you one more question before I get you guys go. We want to know what drives you guys outdoors.
I'll let you go first.
Why don't you go? You're a tuber.
You're a tuber.
I guess that's my statue there. So I just like to be out away from everything. That's the one place I can get my mind off everything that's happening kind of in the real world. I can go out, I can disappear, do my own little thing, and it doesn't matter if I'm seeing anything or not. It doesn't matter if I'm shooting deer, shooting turkeys. Just allows me to get away, be with myself, and it's just peaceful. That's what I like about it.
And then with me, because like you take my brother for instance, he'll hunt because it's hunting season. You know, I live and breathe the outdoors. I mean, I'm out here all the time. I don't care if it's spring, summer, winter, fall. That was a song once. You'll learn.
Yeah.
But anyway, no matter what it is, like him and I got in the truck the other day and said, let's drive to Erie and catch steelhead. So we went, it's whatever's out there we can do, we do. And not to worry about how other people are judging you because how you do something. We go up there and I know we was using too much weight, but that's how I fish. And these guys with the fly rods are staring at us like we got five eyes. But we were the ones catching the steelhead. So it's things like that. And when I was a kid, my dad had me in the woods 24/7. I mean, and all night long, coon hunting, we fox hunted, we did it all. And my daughters are that way, and my wife, because I've drilled it. I didn't, not saying they had to do it, but they just enjoy the outdoors because there is no better place, like Riley said, to get crap off your mind, you know. And
You know
that's
what
where we're at.
we call that a seasoned outdoorsman. And it's not about being seasoned because you've been doing it forever, but you chase the seasons, whatever the season comes, the season you are doing. No matter what. If it's fishing season, if it's trapping season, if it's hunting season, it doesn't matter what season it is, you're there and you're doing it. And then we call
Yep,
that the hunter. Um, because you just want to be outdoors. You just want to be doing what you're doing and love the outdoors for what it is. And
yep,
it's great to see. There's very, very few people that are true blooded, seasoned outdoorsmen, in my opinion. Like, there really is.
yep. That's a great way of life, that's for sure.
It's the only way of life. What do you mean? The only way of life. There's only one way of life, and that's the outdoors. But we appreciate you guys jumping on. We're looking forward to using the Enticer call, even though we've been using the Enticer call over the years. We look forward to it. We can't thank you guys enough for jumping on. Can you tell everybody where they can find your calls, give it the sound files a listen, and kind of order one if they want for turkey season?
Yep, just jump on teamenticer.com. It'll take you right to my webpage. Uh, all I got on there's PayPal because he ain't taught me anything else. But and, or if you just want to do it, I mean, there are a lot of older folks that don't know how to use a computer. So I mean, you can call me on the phone too, 570-637-6312. I can do credit card over the phone or however a person wants to buy. But and I appreciate everyone out there that does use our calls.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it. So, guys, get on over to teamenticer.com and get your call for this upcoming turkey season. And for everybody else, we really appreciate you. And thanks for taking the ride right here